What's up, guys? Big Clive 34 coming at you today with a pretty awesome release that we're learning about today. It's a 2021 Silverado that's going to make more horsepower than the latest and greatest Shelby GT500, which last time we checked in, it made 760 horsepower. It's also going to create more power than the latest and greatest Dodge Challenger Hellcat Redeye, which comes in at 797 horsepower. The truck is just barely going to squeeze by that mark. It's an 800 horsepower pickup truck, but hey, man, it's an 800 horsepower pickup truck. The pickup truck to end all pickup trucks. Okay, maybe I wouldn't go that far, but this thing is pretty darn cool. We're going to dig into everything that the 2021 Silverado Yenko S has to offer. We're going to talk about what makes the truck special inside and out. We're going to talk about the power, and of course, we're going to talk about the price. As far as I could tell, there aren't very many outlets, if any, that have reported on the price yet, but we do have it. The folks at SVE were kind enough to provide me with the pricing brochure, so we're going to talk a little bit about that, where it falls in the landscape. And of course, I'm going to offer you my opinion, just having seen so much of the market and being able to kind of understand it. We're going to dissect everything that this truck is and if it's falling into the market where it should. So all of that in just a moment. I very much have to get this out of the way, though, but if you guys would not mind heading down to that like button if you enjoy this content at any point in time during this video, I would appreciate it very much. And if you enjoy it that much, maybe you should go and subscribe. Hit that bell notification icon as always so you get notifications of these videos first. Without further ado, let's hop into this 2021 Silverado Yenko S. Essentially, what we're looking at is, it's probably a truck that's most comparable to something like the Trackhawk. So the Trackhawk, yeah, 707 horsepower SUV. Essentially, it's a little bit more powerful than the Trackhawk, except it has a pickup truck bed on the back of it. So what we could be looking at is maybe a borderline 10-second pickup truck straight out of the box in crew cab format. This is really a product that I like to call, GM adjacent. I know that's not the correct word. In their words, it's a second stage vehicle manufacturer and tier 1 supplier to GM and its dealers. That's the way that SVE classifies themselves. But essentially what we're getting here, it's not like taking your new truck straight to an aftermarket, like a shop to get it modified, which nothing wrong with that. Lots of good shops out there. And it's also not technically a direct GM product. Instead, it's kind of like one step away, so it's in between shop modification and factory stock. But like we said, you order it straight from a GM dealer, you get the warranty and all that kind of stuff. So it's kind of almost a factory vehicle, but not quite. It's like right there. You kind of get the best of a couple of different worlds with the way that they have this set up. They claim that it is, quote, made in the spirit of the Yenko Camaro. Again, available in 2-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, crew cab or double cab, only available from a GM dealer. And there's only going to be 50 of them made, so you got to remember that this is going to be a pretty exclusive deal here. Let's dive into the looks first before getting to the power and the pricing. The looks, we're going to get 6-spoke 22-inch lightweight wheels in either bright silver, satin black, or satin black with a red stripe, which the cool thing that I like about these wheels is that they do add a little bit of an aggressive edge, but they're not so aggressive that they look kind of out of place. One of the fine lines that a lot of these companies has to deal with is tiptoeing the line between we want to make this look awesome, but we don't want to make it look so ridiculous that it couldn't have been done by the factory. So the challenge, I feel like, is to make it look real cool, but also make it look kind of like a factory option. The truck will also receive 2-inch lower progressive rate front springs and a 5-inch rear lowering package upgrade with a larger diameter custom rear sway bar. You're going to get a body color gloss finish hood insert with flat black louvers. You're going to get a thermoformed bumper step delete. GM has this weird thing with like completely over marketing their bumper steps. In this, it's taken away, so you kind of get more of that roll pan look out back. Kind of neat, with the sports truck theme. You're going to get the Yenko grill crossbar, which I actually like this addition. It makes it look a little bit more aggressive. You also get, the fiberglass logo in the tailgate. You get the stripe down the side, which is basically, Yenko is known for that stripe, I'm pretty sure. sticker. So you get badges all over the place. Essentially, wherever there would be GM or Silverado branding, you're going to get your custom Yenko badging, branding, all the above. The one thing that's interesting here is the color combos. Let's just talk about that real quick. We have this whole variety here. Let's look at this. Some of them are a little bit more sports car aggressive than others. And I don't know if I were to order this thing, which one of these I would pick out. I mean, I think I have a pretty good idea. There was 3 that I really picked here. I'll let you guys get a look at them real quick before I tell you which ones are my favorite. Which one of these is your favorite? If you were to order one of these, leave in the comments which one you would pick. I'm kind of curious to see what everybody thinks about something like this. But for me, I was inspired by this blue on satin steel metallic deal because it reminds me of... Can you remember? You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Paul Walker's GTR in the Too Fast, Too Furious movie with that bright blue on the satin steel metallic. And then what I was leaning toward initially is the gray on shadow gray metallic down here. I think that's a pretty slick looking truck. The rest are really kind of flamboyant, which matches, aside from the black. The red is kind of flamboyant, which is kind of like the sports car thing, is to be bright and loud, right? And you have the classic black, but I think what I would go with would be the silver on Cajun red tint coat. I think that these darker reds are kind of just so classy and kind of, make a statement without being over the top. But I'm not sure. It'd be between that or the gray on shadow gray metallic. There's some pretty neat color combinations. I think that'll stand out for you there. So let's move on to the power. So what is making this thing tick? What's making it make so much power? So you're going to get your custom built 378 cubic inch LT1 with an aluminum block, forged steel crankshaft, H-beam rods, forged aluminum pistons, CNC ported LT1 cylinder heads, and upgraded fuel system and injectors. You're going to pretty much get your full custom stainless exhaust, high put OEM style centrifugal supercharger. So that one kind of threw me off a little bit. I don't believe that GM makes a centrifugal supercharger. Maybe they kind of are trying to get across the point that this is like an OEM spec type of unit. I'm not really 100% sure on that. You're also going to get your heavy-duty 6-speed automatic transmission and torque converter with performance upgrade. That's one thing that I feel like would be the weak point on something like this, but it does seem like they have that taken care of. And then you have your Yenko badge 6-piston Brembo front brake calipers in red. You can get custom colors on that. I think it does cost extra though. But here's really what it comes down to is, one of the main things that I see in comment sections about stuff like this is, I could go to that aftermarket shop and get this for probably cheaper. I could build this for probably cheaper than what they usually offer these things at. The important thing to remember about this 800 horsepower sports truck is that it's going to have some sort of factory reliability. I don't think that GM would allow things like this to be ordered from their dealers without offering that up, because they're not just going to let any company have their name on a GM product without it being up to some sort of standard from GM. And they guarantee this stuff with a warranty. So while there are a lot of reliable shops, and I wouldn't necessarily steer you away from going to shops, for somebody who wants to be completely hands-off, if they're willing to pay for it a little bit, which we'll get to here in 1 second, this thing is going to come with a 3-year, 36,000 mile on warranty on the engine and supercharger assembly, non-powertrain component limited warranty, heavy-duty transmission. But it's really nice that you're going to be able to beat on this thing for 36,000 miles and not really have to worry about anything breaking, whereas you're not really going to be able to get that anywhere aside from ordering something from the factory. But you are going to be paying a little bit of a premium for that warranty. Don't get it twisted. It's not like they're just handing this over because they're so confident that their stuff isn't going to break. So, what are you going to be paying for the 2021 Chevy Silverado Yenko SC pickup truck? On top of the price of the truck, depending on what you pick out, what options you pick out, the price of the package is $80,000, which is probably an eye popper for a lot of people. Not if you're really familiar with how these kind of things work. But for some people, they're probably like, wow, that's a ton of money. So how do you justify that? And I'm going to tell you how it's justified. Like, and this is something that I've changed on over the years. Back in the day, I would have been like, there's no way. $80,000 for a package in addition to the price of the truck. But here's kind of the justification and how I can kind of see where it might be worth spending that money to buy something like this. And just to give you an idea, when all is said and done, you probably would be able to squeeze into one for $115,000 to $120,000 when you consider the price of a, like, right above the work truck trim level, you have the custom trim level, which is around $35,000 for a two-wheel drive double cab. And then if you want to do the crew cab in four-wheel drive, which would be the high end of the custom trim level truck, it would be about 40 grand. And then if you want to throw in your options, it's going to fluctuate for sure, but $115,000, $120,000 is probably where you could get into one of these things. You know, maybe a little bit more for the options and the dealers doing what dealers do, tacking on fees, all that stuff, which is a whole other video to talk about that kind of stuff. And you get to, you know, in this $115,000 price range, we said earlier that it compares to something like the Trackhawk, which starts out around $87,000. I believe when all is said and done on those, they're around the $100,000. And another comparison that we have here is with the F-150 Harley-Davidson edition, which is kind of, you know, this truck performance-wise on paper compares to a Trackhawk. But when it comes to things like it being a special edition, you know, making a ton of power, being a full-size pickup truck, I feel like the F-150 Harley is kind of a more comparable vehicle that you're going to want to compare the Yenko to. Excuse me. Again, $100,000 pickup truck. The 2020 version was, granted, it made 100 less horsepower, and the numbers for production, I couldn't pin them down exactly. Back in the day with the older Harley pickups, they made, you know, between 8 to 12,000 as far as I could find. I don't know how accurate those records are, but I believe the Harley is a little bit more mass produced than the Yenko, which will again only have 50 units produced. So it's kind of a market that doesn't really have a ton of comparisons. But what I do think at the end of the day is that with the very, very exclusive nature of the Yenko and the warranty and all that good stuff, there is a specific buyer that will find their way to this truck and will be very happy with it. It's definitely not for everybody, but I don't think it's like a ripoff or anything like that when you look at some of the other trucks on the market that are in that similar price bracket. So, final verdict, if you ask me, before we get into these options real quick, that optional upgrades, final verdict, if you ask me, on the package is not, you know, it's not as eye-popping as it seems when you look at the market. Definitely not for everybody. Definitely also a very cool truck that somebody is going to be very happy with. You know, it's kind of like, I don't want to compare a Chevy pickup truck to a Ferrari, but you realize when you go into buying a Ferrari that you're not paying like dollar for dollar for what they invested in the truck, which is kind of, or in their cars, sorry, which is kind of what you're expecting here with the Yenko branding, with the power, with the warranty and the exclusivity. Very exclusive, and I think that the price is justified. So, options, last but not least, we have two options that are exclusively options and not just different color prices. So we have our $2,500 seat trim package with leather surrounds and inserts, which kind of steps up the seat game big time. I don't know if I would go for this or if I would just go with a factory seat with the embroidered headrest, because the package does come with the embroidered headrest, which is very nice. And these days GM has some very nice seats, if I do say so myself from personal experience. But hey, if you want to upgrade with the custom badging, the custom leather, and all that stuff to really make your truck stand out and be different, the $2,500 option is on the table. And then you have your $1,300 folding tonneau cover, and that's about it. Other than that, there's three color options. You have $1,000 if you want a custom. I feel like this is if you're just being picky and you want something really custom. $1,000 for Yenko badged factory calipers in a custom color, $395 for the side stripe in a custom color, and $145 for custom color on the embroidered headrest, which again comes with the truck, and these are just your custom color options. $5,300 all said and done if you want all of those upgrades and very custom, very specific truck. So that's what this truck is. That's what's coming to the table. I think it's pretty neat. I think it's pretty a pretty specific niche that it fills, but it has its purpose. It has its place. I would love to be able to see one of these trucks in person. I actually have been talking with Yenko. We might be able to get over there because our Specialty Vehicle Engineering, sorry, that's the company that produces the Yenko. They're not far from me, so we might be able to get over there and see the Cyclone. We might be able to get over there and see this truck as well. Very interesting. So where else are you going to get an 800 horsepower truck with a warranty and that kind of exclusivity at this price? It's interesting. What do you guys think of it? Do you think it's worth it? Would you buy one of these? Which color do you like the most? Because I am interested in that. What do you want in a crew cab sports truck? Anyways, guys, this has been Big Clyde 34. Thank you very much if you made this far in the video, for liking. Leave me a comment that lets you know that you made it this far. Say I made it to the end if you made it to the end. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Until next time.